And then, well, as I said a bit earlier, I have actually launched a Discord finally, as I have a few projects that I actually needed to connect into Discord finally and get it going. So I kind of figured why not make it for the channel as well, as it's the thing for the streamers and whatever like that. So if you're interested in maybe talking about the games, no matter if it's Age of Mythology or maybe even something else, then you can feel free to join. There's a command in the chat at Discord, or there's just basically a link below the stream as well in the picture. So feel free to join, we'll be glad if you did, and maybe you can be getting something going in there and see where it happens to be heading. But it's going to be the first game already. You're gonna be having Juanito, who is gonna be apparently right now playing. Who is he actually? He's going to be playing Oranos, then he's with NyanRacingCat as Kronos and Thor with Gold Lion. Joe, Shelty and LoKimacro, that's gonna be the Loki and Zeus. So reasonably aggressive gods all around. So definitely looking forward how this is gonna be approached by the players. Definitely quite interesting idle time right at the start. But yeah, well, even something like that cannot stop Juanito from defeating, for example, even Magic. So yeah, well, that's exactly, I'm thinking he's just giving a bit of a handicap to his opponent, so they actually do have a chance against him. So let's see how he's gonna be playing it. I hope to God it doesn't happen again. Apparently wasn't all that happy about the last game around in there. You can see Piggy running away instead of actually going next to the citizen, which is a bit of luck. It's gonna be resulting into slightly lower damage, because usually that one Piggy can be reducing the villager at about half the health. So right now it was only 51, basically instead of like 80 or something along those lines. As in the pocket, he's gonna be having Gold Lion, and since he's playing Thor, you can definitely expect that Ragnarok is going to be coming into play later in the game. Because it's kinda unlikely that this game should be really finished in like 15 minutes or anything like that. This is unfortunate, because those piggies are actually supposed to be Gold Lions, so this forest line is not entirely great. So he's potentially going to be slightly slowed down due to all of this. But at least it's 3 piggies, so it's gonna be of course kinda helpful for the early economy for his hunt. Otherwise, it's gonna be double spawn, the double gold spawn of Ghostly. So this one in the front is, no, kinda look like at the very start it could be kinda problematic, but in the end it's not. Can see the wood line is definitely gonna be helpful, even though it's quite far away. Has a bit of a hunt, he can potentially place a few buildings right next to it, and basically just protect the gold mine anyway. And in the end, the second one all the way to the back is gonna be even safer than anything else. On the very right flank is gonna be NyanRacingCat with the Kronos. Kinda would be probably liking if they were switched around with Gold Lion. It's usually better to be having Kronos in the middle because of his capabilities of transporting the buildings and anything like that. Well, overall, it's kinda good to be having Atlantean in the pocket because they are a bit more mobile. Especially if they are Oranos, obviously, because of the speed bonus and whatnot like that. Now, we're gonna be seeing what he's gonna be thinking up with all of that, as there's a relic right next to him for better scouting with the LOS. Not entirely the best one for him. Not really best for him altogether, but he's gonna be playing against LoKimacro, and that might be slightly challenging for him. Well, NyanRacingCat, let's see what he's gonna be having in him. Lately, he has been kinda active. He plays a bit more on Extended Edition, but he's gonna be, well, it's not entirely certain that he's gonna be active in RTS League. He's on the roster, but he doesn't have to be really all that active from what I have talked about that with Ukas. But he definitely will be looking to basically get acquainted with what is going on in the balance patch, and therefore so that he knows and can be playing some kind of active role, potentially even in the clan wars. Now looking at this, he potentially could have been a bit more optimal. Right now talking about Joe, he could have been basically placing it here, a bit more to the top. Unfortunately, apparently we're not gonna be getting wheel, because the weather here is pretty brutal right now. We're getting 30s, and therefore, yeah, the wheel is gonna be just a bit too sweaty at this point, as everything else all around here. So, cannot exactly show it properly, but I'm thinking he could have saved the 50 wood at the very start. But in the meantime, he is also in the pocket, so it's not like he's gonna be mining that all that much, and it's probably not gonna be anything all the game deciding. Really shouldn't be having all that much of a high impact. But anyway, just a bit of an interesting thing there. As the gold in the middle this is gonna be completely cut off in there, but the gold doesn't have to be such a bad position. Looking at the front TC in here, the TC is gonna be definitely tricky, the same as the TC at the bottom side. You can see kind of similar combination with the gold and the town center. So for both of these players, it's going to be slightly tricky, but I'm much more looking at this TC, because this TC is supposed to be Nyan's. And actually funny that he's actually playing under 9 color. Should be 9 color, right? It's steel, but it should be also Nyan. If I'm not wrong, maybe Nyan is slightly more green. I really right now don't know, but just kind of random thoughts here. As this TC is a whole lot better for LoKimacro. It doesn't give him such map control because it goes through all of the map, but it does give him control of the choke point. And looking at the gold, it's definitely unlucky. This is actually the theme for this spawn. This is one of the tricky spawns in there. You can see the food was a problem for gold line here. Right now this gold is, not this gold, this one is slightly tricky for this TC. But yeah, but still the combination doesn't really look all that bad. He can also wall to the bottom, so it probably isn't going to be anything all that bad and all that problematic altogether. On the left side, there is going to be also a classical H Prometheus and relic for Archer, Ballistic, Aero Ballistic, Throwing Axeman, LS and Range. Definitely quite a nice relic to be had for anybody in the game, I think in this point and at this point, and faster infantry build time definitely great, especially for the Lokis and potentially even for the Zeus, because obviously the Zeus later in the game is going to be right now coming for the Centaur Radiant as he's advancing kinda, not exactly like really late, but slightly, ever so slightly late-ish, but it's still going to be quite fine. As he is in the pocket, so therefore he can afford it. On the left side, Shelty is going to be already preparing with the army, with some random house position here. Yeah, it seems to be kind of random. Doesn't seem to be any kind of extra thought behind it at this point, just wants to basically get it done. As in the base of right now, Juanito is very well prepared to guard the gold at all costs, and this is very nice relic for Joe. Two town center population slots, that is going to be certainly helpful with 6 in the late game, and there's going to be already second DC being taken quite early for Gold Lion. He's going to be the front one, interestingly enough, doesn't really want to be risking any kind of problems with it whatsoever. I can actually wonder if it's a conscious decision based on how the map spawned, or if it's just basically what he wanted to go for a strategy, but all things considered, since he's in the pocket as a Thor, I'm thinking he's doing it on purpose anyway. Okay. Didn't want to be really bothered there all that much, even though I kinda don't think he had to do it, looking at this army right next to it already. Maybe he could have pushed her back, but at the same time he's probably trying to prevent the forest fire at this point, so therefore, well, for that case, and in that case, it kind of makes a bit of a sense for him to delay it and basically give himself a bit of team or other time so that he's properly ready when there is going to be coming. On the left side, there's going to be already battle between Shelty and his opponent, Juanito. It seems like that right about now Shelty is going to be having a bit more units, and since he's Loki, he should be already getting quite nice boon out of all those hits. As you don't basically get, you can see right about now, for example, the boon here. This is for the kill. On 08, you don't get that after unit is dead. You get basically increments based on how much damage you do, as there's going to be a bit of radiant in the middle. And this is going to be a bit of a difficult situation, because this is not exactly something that can be all that protected by the Centaurs, as the Centaurs are going to be going themselves for the radiant. And therefore those two heroes don't have to be exactly strong enough for this kind of engagement as well. There are a few heroes here as well, and they are in quite high numbers. It was a bit of radiant by LoKimacro already, going for the opponent. And, well, this gold kinda doesn't seem all that bad. Shouldn't be all that hard to protect it, but he just didn't place any kind of protective manor right next to it. You can see he's basically protecting the gold to the bottom, so therefore he doesn't seem to be all that interested in that top side just yet. It's gonna be coming only a bit later for him. And yeah, well, otherwise in the middle, the Centaur is basically just looking what they could be raiding, as Joe has built a TC, but he has gone for the back one. Doesn't really feel comfortable anymore, and enough to be going for the one in the front as opposed to Gold Lion. But yeah, well, he definitely had a good reason for that, as he was coming for the TC quite a bit later, and he was already getting raided. So there was quite a solid chance that he wouldn't be able to finish without any kind of, disruption, let's say. Right now it's not the case of, this is actually fairly interesting between Shelty and Juanito, because they are basically switching bases as far as the raiding goes. It's definitely quite nice for Juanito, but problem is he might be losing a bit too many units if he's not careful. Especially right about now, costing the hero Murmillo is quite problematic against Loki. You really don't want to do that at all. So far we don't really see any kind of spawns though at the same time, so I'm kind of thinking that back in action should be having quite a lot of favor, and it's gonna be a question of time before he gets the next one. Next one as in next mythical spawn, and this is the reason why he's not actually getting any spawns, because he's right now housed. I haven't noticed him making any kind of new house anywhere. Right now he's finally building it all the way to the back. He apparently was a bit more interested in the armor in there, and that might be the reason why he's really not getting anything for such a long time, as he was just constantly housed and didn't have a room for that, as it just doesn't work out when you don't have it. Alright, so let's gonna check again. So right now you should be having plenty enough, as Gold Line is going for the 30C already. Yeah, he's gonna be basically hurrying up into some kind of Ragnarok. fast Ragnarok for himself. Let's see how it's gonna be working out in the end. But as a pocket, and since they are not really raided all that much, it seems to be quite a solid idea for him. As all the way to the top, LoKimacro is also going for a bit of wall-in. This seems to be blocked off completely. Yes, it is, right next to the wall of the map. As NyanRacingCat finally does have quite a solid army, and he's gonna be looking for something to raid. Potentially something here, and oh, especially this. This could be definitely dangerous. We need to right now switching back into green space where he's getting raided himself on the goal. Definitely nicely played by Juanito, but problem for him is that he's quite probably gonna be getting raided himself? No, not really. You can see that right about now back in action. Okay, Shelty is actually playing it quite carefully. It was a bit of a little battle, nothing really all that major. You can see this is where the forest fire was cast a bit earlier, basically cleaning up all the walling and just basically making sure this gold is going to be a bit easier to take. But there is also attempted TC in the front right about now for Joe. But he's going to be disrupted, and oh, just about like 300 hit points from being finished. And this is looking like a ceasefire to me, unless he gets the help quite quickly enough. And it seems that that's going to be exactly the case. But if right about now NyanRacingCat is going to be playing carefully, I was kind of thinking he had an option to basically single out the villages one by one. Maybe he could be killing at least like one or two, but he doesn't really seem to be wanting to risk that at all. He's just going to be escaping, and therefore no ceasefire is going to be needed in the end. So that's of course a bit of a respite and good luck for Joe, because losing such an important god power could have been a problem, especially considering that there is a potential for braggy from the opponents, from the Thor. So settlements are built basically all around. LoKimacro has built the settlement as well, the back one. NyanRacingCat is going to be taking back TC as well, looking at the minimap, but otherwise this battle is going to be more important for anything or for the left side. But I'm looking at this red army, look at this. Basically most of the units are half dead, and even more. So even though this looks like quite a solid army, this could be turning anything but. You can see NyanRacingCat is having a fairly similar problem in there. Poor Ainear, he had too slow to actually run away. And since he doesn't have any kind of healing available to him, this might be turning into a pretty sad battle, actually, for Juanito, if he overestimates the lifespan that he has of his units there. Maybe basically heading into some kind of battle with Shelty, when they're gonna be having similar amount of units. But Shelty is gonna be a bit more healthier, and therefore he's gonna be much better chance how to actually destroy him completely and utterly. As there was a bit of a attack in the enemy base, since he's gonna be... No, this is actually looking like a flaming weapons attack as well. If the army is going to be coming back, which it seems to be. As all the way to the top, there is going to be just a bit of an army from NyanRacingCat going after a few piggies, and poor troll, yeah, going to be sharing the fate of the Ainear. But we need to be also quickly switching to the right flank to see what's going on here exactly, as Goldline is having some bit of a fight with LoKimacro. You can see they're basically trying to secure the really problematic TC all the way to the front. All the way to the front, and therefore there could be a bit of a problem with that. All the way to the bottom, there's gonna be right now exactly the time for the battle that we're talking about, especially supported by all the centaurs. That might be even worse for Juanito than he might have imagined, and maybe even we could have imagined. Watchtower, Shaft Mine, Bowsock, Bragi for LoKimacro. So the flanks are gonna be rather strong for the top team. Whereas for the opponents, you don't exactly have anything like that. You can see a gold line banned for Frost, because he didn't really want to be risking the ceasefire on the flame weapons. So we decided to be going for a stronger economy in there, which is definitely quite a valid idea. And lately, to be honest, Skadi is quite popular in the meta. Even, I would be actually quite close to say that for a Thor, she's actually becoming quite a bit more frequent than flame weapons, because players really have found that going for the stronger economy, especially in combination with Ragnarok and having to recuperate later and getting even the upgrades for the Ragnarok is quite valuable and even better than having the flame weapons in certain situations. And yeah, well, of course, the omnipresent pretty much in the games, either Zeus or Poseidon with the ceasefire is also quite a bit of a good reason why to forego that kind of god power for something that is kind of similar in effect to the ceasefire. I'm talking about the Frost here, and of course the stronger economy, which is, yeah, well, always the kind of alpha and omega of anything in Age of Battles. Okay, so Green is gonna be just basically running around. Is he gonna be trying to steal at least one of the TCs, because they are well guarded and scouted by Joe. Basically knows exactly what's going on, as the front TC is gonna be taken by Shelty all the way to the top, whereas there's gonna be nothing really much going on here yet, but Goldline definitely is interested in disrupting LoKimacro as much as possible. It's not gonna be allowed to be taking the front TC all that easily for him so far. This is looking like already interesting Yaros, but they don't have any kind of upgrades yet, so I was just gonna enjoying their their look and upgrades on them, they are so far missing, as otherwise he does have at least medium infantry, gold lion, and for his opponent, how's he looking there? Do we have some Hersers here? Okay, he's already having copper mail and copper shields. The shields are obviously not gonna be doing all that much in the battle right about now between the Norse, but otherwise he could be quite well prepared for him. But otherwise, or rather, in the end, it seems like the army is way stronger for Gold Lion, and of course, those Jarls are definitely not bad, and they can definitely also pull their weight against the opponent. And since he's having only Hersers, and not really getting all that many mythical spawns in there, and even if he gets them, Jarls are definitely great there. Seems like a solid combination, as there was a bit of an attempt at stealing the back TC by Shelty, but unfortunately for him, it was disrupted. Juanito was paying enough attention in there, and so was NyanRacingCat, who is at least ever so slightly helping him. Problem though is that right now Joe is gonna be joining into the battle as well, and this is gonna be getting a whole lot more difficult for him to handle. And much more bigger problem is that Shelty right about now with the second TC is probably gonna be even looking at the front TC of Juanito, and there's not much of a chance that Juanito could be really getting the TC himself, as he's still stuck at only one. Right now trying to basically do whatever he can with the even towers and whatever like that, but he is housed, and that's fairly curious that he's not coming for the second DC. For example, the one behind his base, because it seems he could be definitely using it. Fortunately, even right now upgrades are still missing, and therefore there's a whole battle coming for him, and army coming for him seems to be just a bit too much for him to handle at this point. As NyanRacingCat is going through Rhea, Gold Lion stealing the front DC. Yes, he did steal the front DC from LoKimacro, and well, 5 stores from Joe. It's much more important than anything else, as he's just gonna be really underworld passage somewhere coming into the middle, right? Yes, right. Underworld passage is there. Somewhere, for example, here into Gold Lion's back, or maybe even just basically to destroy Juanito altogether, is gonna be quite a bit stronger than anything else, as though Gold Lion in the meantime is gonna be having a bit of an opportunity how to maybe even kill LoKimacro altogether. So far he seems to be doing quite a good job on that, on basically just sheer power and number of units, as he doesn't have any kind of upgrades whatsoever as opposed to his opponent, who is having basically the whole baseline already prepared, and Balder is on his way, and Gold Lions, Ragnarok is gonna be coming. Problem is, as we talked, he doesn't have any upgrades whatsoever. He doesn't have the resources all that much either. So he's probably gonna have to wait, or have to wait. The have to is probably a strong word here. He might want to wait, that's a bit better. But at the same time, looking how he's already having an advantage here, just pushing just by the sheer number of units, could be a bit more than the opponents could be able to handle, and he might just be basically brute forcing it nonetheless. Welcome Tilted to the scene. Yeah, well, just good luck moderating today. Hopefully nothing is gonna be needed all that much. But yeah, we'll kinda never know, especially in the AOM community. And welcome everybody else as well. Hope you're gonna be enjoying some games today. Even though we started later, we are probably gonna be having quite a few of them still, as there's a bit of a battle in the middle, which is not much of a battle, just a bit of a raiding by Juanito, as he kinda doesn't want to be really defending his base. He has finished with the second DC behind it, but this is quite important, as back in action, aka Shelty, is gonna be heading into a bit of a problematic situation in about like a few minutes. 1600 gold in there, but he's right now using the opportunity to basically attack his opponent straight, even through the towers, because he's recognizing that there's no army and he should be probably fine in all of this. Problem is that he hasn't noticed that his opponent is gonna be right now sneaking onto the left side, onto the settlement, as Gold Lion is gonna be right now casting the frost, and he has casted it all the way into Juanito's base to basically help his teammate enough, and that doesn't have to be such a bad idea, because Juanito is gonna be having enough time to be right now coming back. He is having finally medium more mills, at least some kind of upgrades are in, as on the right flank the battle is still brewing. There are not really all that many upgrades, at least from Joe. He seems to be having heavy infantry only, so he's really heading heavily, literally heavily into the infantry. He's even using the Oracle upgrade for better unit and building LOS, as flame weapons are already in. He's right now going to be from the yellow player, and he's definitely interested in taking the TC from his opponent and making his own, at least for the time being, as the Ragnarok is gonna be having a bit different idea about all of that. Now this could be quite a nice trade-in, all things considered. Only Heracles actually to be the hero right about now, as Gold Lion cast Ragnarok, fortified TC, flame weapons coming from Shelty as well, and that is right beyond the frost being right now melted, but he doesn't have really all that much of an army here. He's at least having a few piggies who were kind of trying to annoy at least the TC, but he doesn't have enough army for all of that. So he basically needs to be choosing his battles, but of course right now taking the third TC on the left side is significantly important for Juanito, because that might be keeping him in the game and basically giving him a bit of a chance how to get a slightly stronger economy than Shelty, because Shelty is still at only 2 TCs, and therefore He's not even having enough population limit and the same population limit as Juanito. As Gold Line is sending at least a bit of a department of units all the way to the left. So what kind of upgrades are we looking at? Baseline, and is he getting something still more? At least copper mail, so he's gonna be basically the whole baseline. Not 3-5. No, he's kinda having some resources. He's gonna have to buy a bit. He's gonna definitely have to buy a bit in there. But the front TC for LoKimacro is gonna be taken. Seems like that he has already started building, looking at the minimap. And he's right now quite interested in even stopping the one, or rather killing the one that belongs to Gold Line. But problem for that could be that maybe if at least a few heroes of Ragnarok could be mounting their offensive here as well. But seems not. So far they're basically heading all the way to the left side with Vortex from Nyan, and he's gonna be basically right now trying to protect his own TC. Because obviously he needs to, as if he lost that, then he would be in kind of hard situation from LoKimacro, because LoKimacro seems to be right about now in a position to be getting into his kind of groove with the third TC almost getting finished, and therefore, well, might be just getting a bit more difficult for him, especially looking at the underworld passage all the way to the back, where Joe has already destroyed the back TC in there without that kind of problem. It's exactly what you would be expecting here. And all the way to the top, there is going to be, well, another TC destroyed for NyanRacingCat. I mean, like, Gold Line doesn't really mind all that much. Without that they're, no, can actually combine something with it. I don't think so. I really don't think so, but right about now the Wolfies are going to be certainly helpful. Going to be at least right now trying to destroy at least a few heroes of Ragnarok. Unfortunately, it is not really that helpful in there, as all the way to the top, Red is going to be right now destroying plenty of villages. Plenty of villages all the way to the top, and on the left side as well. Yeah, definitely seems to be doing a good job on that. And he is making it quite hard for back in action, because remember a bit earlier, he was basically raiding somewhere here on the gold mine. Right now he's all the way to the left side. And yeah, well, here it doesn't seem actually the Gold Line should be doing anything all that significant with Ragnarok, because this is, I mean, like, this is the rest of the Ragnarok. There's gonna be a bit of it still in the base, but it seems that with all the units coming from the underworld passage, even against right now the Vortex, it should be enough for Joe. But let's kind of look where he's actually coming from. There. Okay, so it's a quite a nice safe underworld passage. He's having the military buildings quite far away though, so okay, he's having kind of problem with economy apparently, at least ever so slightly, and he's not able to really finish with this at all. He does have still the ceasefire, so that's kind of slightly curious that he actually didn't opt to save this. I'm thinking it might have been it. Might have been a good moment for a ceasefire, basically to finish both TCs, keep the underworld passage alive, basically make his opponent waste the Vortex for NyanRacingCat, and yeah, well, they didn't really opt to do so, as in the meantime, of course, the Vortex is gonna be resulting into NyanRacingCat not having enough units all the way to the top, and therefore LoKimacro is gonna be having a field day with all the P's in there. In the meantime, back in action is still at only one TC. He's gonna be right now trying to at least take the one all the way through back. You can see not all that many upgrades for Shelty, with copper on both of these. And yeah, well, there's gonna be the last, that's the last Vortex, right? And that is the last Vortex right about now coming. And Juanito is still in the classical age, interestingly enough. But he's still making it actually work for him rather well. Can say now this battle is, no, kinda looking slightly better for yellow, but ever so slightly, because he's getting even more mythical units all the time. As in the meantime, there was a bit of a battle next to Joe. You can see a few dead bodies in there, and Red is gonna be flying from the battlefield. But problem is that right now Gold Line, even though he does have 3 TCs, he's probably gonna be having a bit of problem getting up with some kind of solid army, and therefore, even though there is a bit of a sneak up all the way to the back, quite a nice idea by NyanRacingCat, he could be actually still stopping this, or at least slowing it down because of the Hekka again coming forward. Be damn close. In the end he won't. Or will he? Nah. He's not gonna be unfortunately reacting fast enough. So yeah, the build time for the Hekka again being all those 24 seconds. He's gonna be right now at least a bit of luck for back in action. It's not much of a chance right now. NyanRacingCat will be able to do anything. You can see he's already running away. But in the middle and back in action is already moving forward, as he's losing the military buildings absolutely everywhere. And Shelty apparently needing at least a bit of a gold, as his ally is maybe having plenty of that. Well, Joe doesn't have really that plenty of it. As right now he's moving with absolutely everything all across the base, even the villages. Is he trying to establish a beachhead or just basically get the TC? It almost seems like that he's waiting for the TC already. You can see all the Helipoli wobbling around and forward into the battle, as the heroes of Ragnarok are pretty much dead for Gold Lion. He has been able to get it to at these bronze shields, but yeah, didn't exactly work out all that much for him in the end, unfortunately. As heavy buffs are so far having bronze melee copper weapons and iron shields already. So Forge of Olympus definitely kicking in quite strongly here. Query and Flat Control, so some kind of economical upgrades at the very end. But Goldline is already recognizing that this is going to be just a bit too much for him. And he had the villagers coming for the front EC on the right flank. It doesn't seem like that back in action, or rather that NyanRacingCat should be breaking through. And it's going to be only LoKimacro right about now breaking his opponent with all the units and all the buildings right next to his front EC. And on the left side, it's definitely wasn't decided. Juanito still, right now, finally in the heroic age, but potentially going to be having some kind of good game against Shelty still. You can see copper mail and copper shields for the opponent. It was pretty much the same. Very much the same. And this battle on the left would still be quite interesting, but unfortunately, yeah, all the others weren't exactly going that direction. Okay, so it was quite a nice game actually to begin with today. Quite an interesting one indeed. Let's check into post-game. And I also should be already rejoining the game room for them, so they can potentially start if they want to. So what do we see here? Joe with the high score, but obviously not much of a surprise. Goldline with the high score because of Ragnarok. Otherwise the economy wasn't that significantly strong for him, as opposed, for example, to Joe. And Joe's eco was definitely through the roof, as Shelty's wasn't that huge, and so wasn't Juanito's. This was fairly interesting and equal battle actually between Shelty and Juanito on the left side. Yeah, nobody can stand in the way and might of Juanito. Even if he's gonna be playing in the classic age, he's still gonna be beating his opponents and age up. Unit skill though not exactly high, 67 only. But still, he kinda refused to die, and he was really good at raiding against Shelty. "23 minutes into heroic age. Kinda miss this window in there. The Ragnarok was from about 115 to about 15, so basically 100 Ragnarok. And to be honest, I cannot exactly say that it would be having such a huge impact. Yeah, those missing upgrades really do hurt Ragnarok, so when you see sometimes players actually advancing into Baldur and not casting Ragnarok right off, and waiting for the upgrades, it definitely does have quite a good reason. Okay, GG.